Hey everyone, it's Mrs. Ellsburn and Mr. Ellsburn. We're going to introduce a little bit of Oedipus Rex to you, much how we would in class, except, well, you would just have me, and I just don't feel like talking to a camera, so I brought Mr. Ellsburn in here to talk with me about the play. So some things that I want to introduce you to that you should have this play in front of you, just something about the physical book itself. If you turn to page 65, there's some ancillary or extra materials that will be helpful to you as you read the play. I'm not going to read it to you. There's no assignment associated with it. However, a lot of it will help you just give you some context of like Greek drama and stuff like that. So I would recommend you go through and give that a look, and it will help sharpen your annotations. And then on the very front, it has some reading pointers, and a lot of these themes that are mentioned here are ones that I have that you'll end up writing your essay on. So once again, it just will help sharpen or focus your reading. On page 65, one of the things it talks about is the mythological background, and I actually wanted to review that part with you specifically because Athenians, right? There were Athenians, yeah. Athenians who were watching this play would have been familiar with this myth of Oedipus. So as an audience member, they would have known this story. And so if you don't know this story, it's kind of confused. It's easy to get confused. So I wanted to review this with you. John Green went over a little bit in that background video, but I'm going to go over it with you again. So the myth of Oedipus goes like this. When Oedipus was born, he was born to the king and queen of Thebes, King Laius and Queen Jocasta. And when he was born, a prophecy, King Laius found a prophecy that said that his son was cursed to kill his father and marry his mother. Well, King Laius is like, I don't want to die, so I got to get rid of this kid. And I don't want to marry my wife. So King Laius is like, I got to get rid of this kid. He gives him to he clubs it, right? He clubs his feet together.
Yeah, he says, I don't want to be guilty. I don't want to be guilty of killing this child. So he says, pin him up by the feet, pierce his feet, hang him in a tree, then nature kills him, and I can go to heaven.
Yeah, so and he took him to this place called Mount Cithaeron, and you'll hear that referred to a lot throughout the play. Mount Cithaeron is the place where the shepherd left Oedipus. But the shepherd couldn't actually go through with killing him, and that shepherd actually comes to be a character in the play itself. So that's why that's sort of important to know that shepherd was charged with essentially killing Oedipus, but he didn't. So I'm not really sure how this came to be. I kind of get different accounts because there's different versions of the story. It's an oral myth, right? So people, modern people who have recorded it, there's sometimes some inconsistencies with how it's recorded. But by some way, shape, or form, Oedipus ended up becoming adopted by the king and queen of Corinth. So here's Thebes. I have this on mirroring. Here's Corinth, okay? And the king and queen of Corinth adopted Oedipus, and he was raised as the prince of Corinth, essentially. And he was very well liked and very adept. He was talented, etc. But he went off to Delphi and received an oracle and found out that he, Oedipus, was cursed to kill his dad and marry his mom. So he's like, I don't want to kill my dad and marry my mom. That's messed up. And so he leaves Corinth. Okay, thinking that he is protecting what he believes to be his mom and dad. A lot of irony in this story, right? So here's Oedipus, and he's heading off to leave Corinth, and on the way he runs into this guy in a chariot, and the guy kind of had chariot road rage, and he's trying to get him off, and Oedipus is like, you can't mess with me, and he's like, boom, 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 and he takes the guy down in the chariot. Well, any guesses who that guy was, people? Any guesses? If you guessed King Laius, you're right. He killed his dad. King Laius was the guy in the chariot. He didn't know it was his dad, so it's not really his fault, but he still did it, and that's why fate can be tricky, because he was fated to kill his dad, and he did it. It's messed up, but he didn't know it. So anyways, he kills King Laius, and as he continues on his journey, I can't remember which way I was going, this way, towards Thebes, he gets to this city called Thebes, and there's a sphinx looking like this. Okay, so it's like an eagle, woman, lion thing. Okay, and the sphinx is at the gate of Thebes, and it's plaguing the town of Thebes. And it has a riddle. Okay, and whoever can answer the riddle, it'll break the plague. But nobody's been able to, and so every time somebody comes and doesn't answer the riddle right, the sphinx devours the man. Okay, and the riddle was this. It's kind of what we opened with our kids there. What walks on 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs in the afternoon, and 3 legs at night? Well, for some reason, Oedipus is very intelligent. And actually, the power of human intellect is an important theme that you'll notice throughout the play, because the Greeks valued being
Logos.
smart. Yeah, the Greeks
Logos.
valued being smart, and sometimes I don't know that we still value that in our own society, but that's another conversation. Okay, so the Sphinx, this is like my favorite part of the whole myth. When Oedipus answers the riddle correctly, the Sphinx is like, just like jumps off a cliff. It's just like the most random thing. So bye Sphinx. And Oedipus walks into Thebes, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, you're our hero. Woo, we love you, Oedipus. You saved us from the plague. You know what? You're so great. We're going to give you a gift. And the gift we're going to give you is what, Mr. Ellsburn?
We have a recently widowed queen. She's a little bit older than you, but we'd like to introduce you. We'd like to set you up. I think you guys will really get along.
Uh-oh, guys. You remember who the queen is? Queen of Thebes? It's Oedipus's mom, Queen Jocasta. So that's how he ends up marrying his mom. So he actually is fulfilling his fate in all of these prophecies. But the thing that's troubling about it is he doesn't know. Like, it's not his fault. He doesn't know. So when the play opens, where we start, Oedipus is married to his mother, Queen Jocasta. They've had 4 children.
Healthy.
4. 2 daughters, Ismene and Antigone. And then 2 sons, and I can never remember their names.
Eteocles and Polynices.
Oh yeah, I always call Eteocles. You know how I like to make up names? I could just call them Testes. And Poly, just many sides. That's what I call them. I don't know. I gotta have your way of remembering stuff, right? And so he's married, and Thebes has fallen under another plague, and they don't know why, and we kind of know why as the audience, because you're not supposed to marry your mom and have kids with her.
Dramatic irony.
But that's where the play starts. Okay, Mr. Ellsburn sort of wanted to talk to you about, or sort of, he does want to talk to you about some of the modern connections you might notice with the play too, as we get into it.
Well, the first thing is it seems really relevant right now just because we're all under a pandemic, and as the play begins, the city of Thebes has a pandemic, and they're looking to their leader, Oedipus, for answers. It's also an economic depression. They occur at the same time. So like I say, it seems very relevant. This play is kind of the foundation of Western society. It's a play about what happens behind the scenes when things get really rough, and what's under our control and what's not, and how do we solve this problem. And so complicating this issue is that the fact that Oedipus his name literally means lame foot or crippled foot. So he's physically injured, but he's also, he has deep issues that he needs to overcome with. He's never really addressed.
So club foot doesn't mean that he's like good at dancing. He can hang out at the club.
No. I mean, as we know, his feet were pierced as a baby. So it's kind of ironic. The strongest man in the nation has physical and, he has issues. It's quite fascinating because it's about honest people that are intelligent, seeking the truth, trying to find answers, which makes it all the more tragic. The other thing I want to talk about is the actual translation. I see here the translation is by a person with 2 names, Lloyd Jones. I'm guessing he's English, and the fact that he has a hyphenated name, probably very important. The translation itself looks like it was almost a direct translation of the Greek. They're trying to maintain the poetic rhythm. That's a little tricky because it's easy to get hung up on the words as you're reading. We would encourage you not to do that. Try to get to the meaning behind it. In the original Greek, it would have had a certain power. This is just an Englishman's wordy academic translation. Doesn't mean it's not any more valuable or interesting. It's just that kind of bear the original spirit in mind. The last thing I was going to say about the relevance of this, we've been watching as a family the Marvel Universe, and that the spirit behind those movies. We just saw Ant-Man the other day, and all these movies. That epic spirit, that mythological spirit, is what really animates this play. But instead of having special effects, you have amazing actors making it happen. Now I know that the author Sophocles, I read somewhere that he was really a stickler for having his actors be natural when they deliver the lines and not over the top. The words themselves can be quite epic, but as you read it, just don't get hung up. Keep it moving, and remember you're dealing with huge myths that kind of cut to the spirit of what it is to be a civilized person, and it can be incredibly powerful stuff as you read. So hopefully we can capture that spirit as we read.
Speaking of the translation, one other note that I forgot. When you hear this play referred to as Oedipus the king is the translation for the word Rex. So Oedipus Rex, Oedipus the king, it's,
Yeah, the author...
love, amour.
Right. The author Sophocles actually wrote a whole cycle, 100 different plays, and we've lost almost all of them, but we do
There's
actually...
like 7 that exist. Who knows what other weird crap were in the other 93, right?
Yeah. We have a cycle of 3 plays, and this is the first. The next one is called Antigone, and the third one is Oedipus at Colonus. We fortunately still have the original cycle. But
Right.
this is the root of Western, of movies and plays, and a lot. It's big.
Okay, so coming up next, we're going to read pages 1 through 21 with you and give you some teacher insights to help get you off to the right start with this play. We would have read it in class if we were in physical class, but we figure this is kind of the best way to get you started since we can't be in class with you. So that'll be coming up next, guys. Thank you.